Hey guys, welcome to episode 117 of OG Toys. I'm OG. Now today we're taking a look at He-Man, Masters of the Universe Classics by Mattel. This is a line that I've had my eye on since its inception back in 2008. I thought, okay, I love He-Man. I've collected He-Man since I was a kid. It was probably my favorite toy line, being a child of the 80s, growing up right next to G.I. Joe and Transformers. In fact, He-Man was probably my favorite out of all of them. It's unfortunate that He-Man's kind of dipped in, I wouldn't say popularity, but maybe mass market popularity. And unfortunately, the 2000 line that came out, which was fantastic, was a resurgence of He-Man, an amazing cartoon show that lasted a few seasons, which was phenomenal. And then, unfortunately, it dipped off again. So He-Man was off the skin market. But in 2008, MattelCollector.com started releasing He-Man figures, and I thought, I'm not going to buy a line that's only available online. It just wasn't for me. I need to go to a store and buy it. You know, shipping costs, all this extra duty and stuff like that, it just didn't seem worthwhile to me. Now, on my honeymoon of all places, we found a comic shop in Toronto, Ontario, that was actually selling some of these. And in fact, I found an even better comic shop in Niagara Falls, of all places, Niagara Falls, Ontario, that had tons of He-Man stuff. I was in geek heaven, so to speak, and I picked up a bunch of He-Man stuff, the new Matty Collector stuff from Mattel, and wow, it's cool to kind of open your eyes up to different things that are out there. I know a lot of collectors are diehard, say Lego collectors, or Mega Block collectors, or Marvel collectors, or DC, and they will not even enter the realm of looking at something else. It's good to diversify, have some different interests, so you keep that spark alive. But if you have one collection that you totally are passionate about, that's cool too. I never paid any attention to these guys, and I totally regret passing up some of the amazing figures that were available. And it's going to be a long, exhaustive search to try and hunt down some of these older figures. But this is a line that I'm so happy to start collecting. And I might even drop a couple of my other things that I've collected over the past, or maybe even sell them to kind of supplement these guys. But we'll see. But we're taking a look at He-Man. And we got both He-Mans here. We got the one from 2000X, the smaller version here from the relaunch back in the early 2000s, and of course the new Matty Collector He-Man. I just want to show you guys the difference between the two and just the overall, variance of He-Man. This one was cool for its time. Did have some pretty neat looking weapons, pretty cool articulation, basic articulation really, but the sculpt was cool. And it was neat to see He-Man back on the shelves. Now compared to this He-Man, this is like taking your classic 80s figure, pumping them up with amazing articulation, and wow, this is like a vintage toy come to life, reimagined with today's standard of articulation, and it's phenomenal. So I'm going to take this guy out of the way for now, and we'll take a look at He-Man, of course, the most powerful man in the universe. Wow. This figure is unbelievable. If you have any kind of inclination of even thinking about getting this stuff, hopefully my videos will inspire you to start passionately collecting these figures, because they are unbelievable. Like I said, this is an 80s figure just reimagined with today's standard for articulation, and it's beautiful. One thing you'll notice, do take the figures out of the packaging. Free these guys, play with them, enjoy them. I mean, they are too cool just to be stuck in a plastic package for the rest of their lives. The posability of these guys is phenomenal. You can get them into all sorts of amazing poses. And what you'll notice too is the weight of these figures. They have some good heft to them. They're not a hollow figure. They feel like a good chunk of plastic in your hand in a substantial, high quality action figure. You're spending about $22 online for a MattelCollector.com Mattel He-Man figure. I was lucky enough to find them at a pretty good price, about $32 each, which still is quite a bit, but considering the nostalgia factor, the exclusivity of the figure, and the scarceness of some of these guys, Yeah, I know they are releasing reissues of some of the figures, which is great because it's going to help me try and find some of the older characters like Man at Arms, Beastman, and Skeletor. But to see this guy in a comic shop, live and in person and not online, it's, man, I wish they would do this more often. In Winnipeg, I have not seen a single comic shop have these guys. And unfortunately, that totally sucks because you'd have a customer here viciously buying this stuff. So I will probably have to hit eBay or some online stores to try and supplement these guys. But the overall appeal of this figure is He-Man. You know, nostalgia factor for a lot of collectors. And if you're new to He-Man, do some research. They are incredibly well done. Thought-provoking stories. In Canada, Teletoon Retro, which is a Cartoon Network here, daily shows the classic He-Man show from the 80s, and it's pretty fun to watch. But enough of my ramblings. This He-Man figure is absolutely awesome, and I'd probably say the best figure I've purchased throughout this year, 2012, and it's amazing. You can start with all the weapons it comes with. It comes with your traditional classic shield, which just clips right onto his wrist. The power sword, which has the two tones of the dark gray and the silver for the blade. And of course his battle axe, which fits nicely in the back of his harness. And of course that too is in the gray and silver color scheme. So let's just pop off some of his weapons. And I'll show you some more of the details on He-Man. Now, you can take a look on the old classic version of He-Man. He did have this detail of an arm gauntlet, but unfortunately it wasn't painted. Here, you could actually see the paint, the straps, the loincloth, you know, the chest armor here, the excuse me, the harness that's over his chest, the Iron Cross. You know, at one point, they did do the classic Iron Cross for the relaunch of the He-Man, but unfortunately, they did away with that and went to a new modernized version of it, which it's cool for this look, but I would be blasphemy. It would be blasphemy to see that on the new reimagined classic line. So the figure, you know, it stands about a little over 6, almost 7 inches tall. Really good proportions, heavy weight to it, and it looks fantastic. Let's take a look at all the detail. Every single little jewel on his belt is painted a different color. Great paint job, you know, with the shadowing on his belt, on his loincloth. His boots have 2 tones. You know, the arm gauntlets here have that darkness as well. And then the head sculpt. The head sculpt is unbelievable. It's your classic He-Man, and it looks just fantastic. Now, articulation-wise, these guys are super articulated. You got the ball-jointed head. Now, a lot of these figures do have multiple heads, and you can pop the heads off. I really don't feel like popping off He-Man's head just in case it breaks. I do want to take a chance, but a lot of the figures that I'm going to review in the next little while do have alternate heads, alternate accessories to create a different version of a figure, and that is awesome. Now, this guy doesn't have any of that stuff, but I'll show you the articulation that he does have. He has the ball-jointed head, full 360 of rotation and movement on that. He has ball-jointed shoulders with a great range of motion. He has a bicep cut. He has a pin at the elbow and a 360 on the wrist. He also has the ab crunch, so you can get some different movements and different poses there. 360 on the waist. He has ball-jointed legs. You can take a look here under his loincloth. He does have the leg articulation similar to the DC Universe, but what's cool, DC Universe has that ugly joint in the leg, and I'll show you that really quickly here. And the Green Lantern figure, you can see the legs there. It does have that ugly joint when you spread his legs and get some better range of motion, sure, but unfortunately you have this huge gap and it just looks terrible. That is completely hidden by that loincloth, which is fantastic. And then you have the knee articulation, just a pin, and you have articulation in the boot as well. You have full 360 on the boot and ankle articulation with a pivot as well. And you even have plugins for a stand as well. So the figure is extremely articulated. Mattel did an amazing job on this figure and bringing them to the standard of today's articulation. Absolutely phenomenal. Now, like I said, height-wise, they're about close to 7 inches tall. Now your DC Universe figure is about 6, and you can see the difference between these two. He-Man's a monster to begin with, and height-wise, it just suits it perfectly. It's a bigger figure, and you definitely want to have that bigger, more chunkier He-Man, just like in the old days, too. So you can see the difference between the two guys here. Now, packaging. Now, they do come in a mailer box, which is a white mailer box. These guys didn't have it because I picked them up at a comic shop. But this is the packaging you're looking at. I'll just pan up for you. It has a classic Master of the Universe logo. It's got the gray, kind of like a Castle Grayskull in the background. Some lightning. Now, he did come with another power sword. This here is the one half of the power sword, which I suppose comes with maybe Skeletor, or you can have both halves that go together to form the power sword. So that's kind of cool. And on the back here, it does have a bio right up on He-Man, and I'll just kind of hold it there. If you want to pause your screen, you can read that on your own pace. But it does have the other figures that are available in this first wave. You had He-Man, King Grayskull, which is, whoa, pretty crazy looking. It looks awesome. Stratos, Merman, Beastman, and Skeletor. Kind of just like the original re-release in the 80s where you had 3 villains and 3 heroes, and instead of King Grayskull, of course, you had Man-at-Arms. So, just give you an idea there of the background of the packaging. So I've gushed for the past about 10 minutes how amazing these figures are. Is there anything that's really a negative on these figures? Any connotation of, you know, something that's not right? If there's anything, I would say, you know, you're kind of stuck getting them online unless you find a comic shop that has them. And even then, you are paying a bit more for the figure. But when you think about the shipping and handling, especially coming to Canada, you know, it's worth it. I'd pay about 30, maybe even 40 bucks a figure. And have no hesitation of doing that because these guys are absolutely amazing. That's really it. The joints are incredibly tight, stiff. You're not going to have a loose, floppy He-Man figure. You know, the accessories are amazing. The paint jobs are perfect. You know, there's really nothing wrong with these guys, except I wish they were at retail. But I'm kind of glad they aren't at retail because you'd have a million variants of He-Man, and you'd have 1 or 2 scarce figures, and it's just going to be ridiculous like they did in 2000. I think this, unfortunately, might probably be the best way for Mattel to create a lot of fan-inspired and fan-friendly figures without making a multitude of He-Man variants and variants and variants. They're producing a lot of figures and a lot of diversity throughout the entire assortments. So it's really appreciated. So there you go, guys. This is the first Master of the Universe figure that we're going to be reviewing. We are going to be reviewing a lot of these figures, as I've picked up quite a few, and we'll definitely got more in the running and down the road, because I will definitely be collecting a lot of these figures. They are absolutely phenomenal. Please, guys, don't hesitate. If you had any inclination of trying to get into this line, do it. You are not going to be disappointed. These are some absolutely amazing figures. Okay, guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, please rate, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think of these guys. Let me know if you're a big collector, if you like the 2000X version, or you like the vintage 80s versions better. Let me know what you think. And always, subscribe for more videos so you don't miss any of these awesome reviews from He-Man, Lego, Star Wars, pretty much DC, Marvel, anything that's pretty cool and awesome that's coming out. I'm pretty much going to be getting it. So stay tuned for a lot of videos. And of course, drop me a line if there's something you want to see. I'll do my best to pick it up. Or maybe if I have it in my collection already, you want to see reviewed. Alright, guys, take care, and we'll see you soon.